I was born in 2000, which means that I, like many others my age, was obsessed with iCarly on Nickelodeon. I would watch it constantly, and even dabbled in the reboot series that came out a couple years ago on Paramount+. But the one aspect of the franchise that I had never gotten to experience was the video games. Now, I did play a lot of licensed games as a kid, including some that landed on the wrong side of quality. I know the reputation that these games tend to have, so today I figured I would take a look at the 3 games released for iCarly and see if any of them are worth it. The most appropriate place to start, of course, is the original iCarly, the game, for Wii. Simply put, this is a minigame-based game where players have to act out skits and segments for the show via minigames. And the better the player does, the more views and web cred they can earn, leading to quite a bit of customization options. Minigames can include things like swatting hands away from food, catching objects that are falling from the cabinets, or helping complete Spencer's sculptures. Games do repeat pretty often, but there's a surprising amount of variety in what they managed to do with the Wiimote. Even more impressive was the fairly comprehensive, fully voice-acted story mode. It's super short, being only around 45 minutes, but the fact that there's single-player content beyond just replaying minigames is amazing at all. The entire cast reprises their roles as well. In a move that surprises no one, Neville Papperman is once again trying to take over the show and rid its existence from the internet. The player must prevail on and complete the segments while the gang tries to figure out how to get him off their system. Some of the jokes were pretty funny, and the writing was very on par to the show as a whole. In terms of gameplay, I did get a little bored here and there, but thankfully the game is the same style as something like WarioWare, where all of the minigames only take a handful of seconds. On a small related side note, I really liked the creative use of having the amount of camera battery left represent how much time you had left in the minigame before moving on, and the use of the same transitions as the show to move between the segments. If I was to have one small gripe with this game, I have no idea why they decided to make all of the characters seem like they were ripped straight from those girl-centric game sites from the early 2010s. They just look pretty awkward, and characters like Sam look nothing like their real-life counterpart. Otherwise, I could see myself having a lot of fun with this game if I were the target demographic, especially with friends. Even more so, if the game doesn't interest you for long, there's also a few cool behind-the-scenes features with the cast on set playing around and showing you things like how acting kids go to school. There was clearly a good amount of love and understanding of the source material put into this game for something that would otherwise seem so simple in concept. After having a surprisingly fun time with the first game, I was expecting to be just as surprised about this game too. And although I was in fact surprised, it was not in a pleasant way. I can't believe just how much of a shift this game is from its predecessor. First of all, we're now in an open world. This isn't a bad idea in concept, but not only is the map half empty in decoration, it's also very much lacking content. There were some cool points. I like being able to freely enter certain landmarks from the show, but this doesn't make up for how bad it feels to navigate the map. Beyond that, for some reason, only the main characters are voice casted. This wouldn't be a problem inherently, but when half the quests involve talking to NPCs, having to listen to their weird mumble voices for most of the runtime before hearing actual voice acting out of the blue made this game a problem for the ears super quickly. I didn't even have a fun time with the game itself. It's mostly broken, and if it isn't broken, it's bland, shallow, or over in seconds. It's so funny to me that these two games can be so wildly different from each other in quality. I didn't get nearly as far into this game to have much to say, because I can't begin to describe how frustrated I got so fast. Thankfully, our next one was a better story. This was the game I was looking forward to the least. It's one thing to play shovelware on the Wii, but the DS is generally an entirely different beast due to the weaker hardware and even bigger child install base. So when I heard there was an exclusive game on the DS, I was scared. However, I cannot figure out how, but this game is actually pretty fun. It's just a reskin of Tapper, or what most people would say Diner Dash, and functions largely like it, was built for the Adobe Flash in graphics and mechanics. As the story goes, while waiting in line for a hot dog, someone cuts them in line, so Sam decides to shove a chili dog down his pants. Then, they get sent to court and sentenced to community service for Sam's crime. The duo must serve food at various locations or face time in juvie. I was actually impressed at how much variety and apparent strategy there was here. Similar to something like Plants vs. Zombies, you can change your food loadout between each level to play the way you want to. Each food has a different area of effect and serving count, but also varying prep times, so there's a good amount of risk and reward. The game also throws a variety of customers at you, so even for a kid's game, things can get a little intense for the good amount of levels that I got into. There are power-ups you can buy from Gibby, which can feel like a bit of cheating at times, but can be a fun extra boost for when you get into the later and more complex levels. Although the art style was not even close to representing the show, being more generic, they do still try and integrate a good amount from the show both in location and in the foods. From being at the Groovy Smoothie and Webicon, to serving donut on a stick and spaghetti tacos, it's definitely not going to be Game of the Year or anything, but as licensed kids games for the DS go, this is pretty good to pick up and play. As far as licensed games go, 2 out of the 3 were pretty surprising. For a fan of the show at the time of release, the first game and Groovy Foodie would have been a perfect extension to watching the show. I really want to do more media tie-in games for other kids' shows. I know there are a ton of Victorious games, so if that's something that interests you, let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe while you're down there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.